Today on Maysville, Kentucky Simple Living, we're going to talk about an old girl by the name of Claire Beatty. Now, she's not a previous girlfriend I had back in high school, but we'll let you see for yourself what she looks like today. So if you enjoy that small town fun, hit that little subscribe button right there in the corner, and I'm going to bring you more fun living of small town Maysville. Maysville, Kentucky Simple Living. What's shallow through here, isn't it?
Oh, sir, it ain't. Yeah, it ain't.
I put the water up high enough I wouldn't have to drag it through here. It looks like it's going to be fine.
It's just low, all that rain we had.
Me too. Me too. Last year, and I'll go do this kind of stuff all day. I go canoeing, go fishing, shooting my guns.
That's what we work hard all our lives for.
Exactly. That's the end of my ride. It dropped right off over your head there. Let's get in this canoe and go for it. Well, I wanted to wait a few minutes for the big tug to get by, so I won't have to deal with the big waves in a little canoe. Actually, it's a 17-foot canoe, but I just rather calmly paddle down a calm river as we cruise by the limestone landing here in Maysville, Kentucky. It's a famous historical spot because in the late 1700s, Simon Kenton was kind of an ambassador here to help folks get settled in. If they wanted to go down to Fort Boonesborough or Fort Herod, he would escort them down. He's really kind of a pretty cool fellow as far as helping limestone, which was the name of Maysville at the time, get rolling. Some of you crossing that Simon Kenton Bridge probably wonder, what is those three big blocks in the water about? Well, I'll just stop here and talk about it for just a minute. Get right here in front of one of them. These were put to here in between 1900 and 1910, I believe. You can tell from looking at it, this one has steel in the front of it. Actually, what these things are is what they call icebreakers. In the winter months, when the river would freeze over, the landing right downstream from here was of vital importance at that time to the transportation and getting of goods and stuff here in Maysville. So the icebreakers would break up all the ice so that the boats could land right over there at the landing and unload their goods. We're heading down here about it looks like another mile and a half or so to check out the old girl Claire Beatty. Let's talk a little bit about the history of Miss Claire Beatty before we get there. Beatty's Navy, as the group of boats were called, was owned by a well-respected riverman named Captain John Beatty. And oftentimes, officials with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers would call upon Beatty to help solve problems along the Ohio River. He took chances the Corps wouldn't take. Beatty bought this boat in 1970 and changed the name in honor of his wife, Claire. What made the boat famous is the Ohio River was in various stages of freezing, and huge chunks of bobbing ice had caused several barges to break away from the moorings during the blizzard of 1977 and 1978. Beatty and Claire went off and chased down the Ohio to round up the barges before they could slam into the Markland Dam. Beatty and Miss Claire successfully nabbed a few barges before it too became entangled in the ice. I still remember watching the Cincinnati TV evening news showing people walking across the Ohio River since it was so cold on the ice, and what's going on with the Claire Beatty. Nothing could be done, and the ice eventually forced the boat to the bottom of the river. A few months later, when the ice finally melted, Captain John Beatty and his crew went back to the Markland Dam and raised the Claire Beatty, and he pressed her back into service. The river is at 33.5 feet at the moment. It's his normal pool. But in January of 1937, the river continued to rise from upstream rains. It went up to 74.425 feet. And that was before the flood wall was installed here in Maysville. And if you want to see the devastation it did to our hometown, look right up here, this little link. And it'll show you the utter devastation that happened here at the time. I just can't imagine paddling right through here and having another 40 feet of water over top of me. My goodness, that's a lot of water. I'll be there in about 20 more minutes. Yeah. There she is, coming into view. Part of Beatty's Navy. Miss Claire Beatty. The old girl became famous at the Markland Dam blizzard of 1977-78. Actually, she's sunk down there too. So she's kind of had a hard life. Captain Beatty passed away in 1994, and the following year the company was up for sale. But during this time, employees were hired to come up to Maysville, Kentucky to recover a sunken barge along the bank. Beatty's Navy showed up in full force. They had 2 World War II minesweepers, the big floating Hercules crane, and Miss Claire. And one by one, the various craft became entangled in the wreck. Who knows? Maybe if Captain Beatty was here himself, that probably would not have happened. Regardless, potential new buyers walked away from the sale of the company, and the boats were left to deteriorate. And this is what the Claire Beatty looks like today. Boy, she sure does have a lot of sticks and mud in her, because she goes underwater every year. Now the radar wand is kind of bent too. This is the view most folks probably get to see from the riverbank here on the Kentucky side. Notice she's got the 1, 2, 3 windows, a door, and 3 more. So that is definitely the old Miss Claire Beatty. We'll paddle right down the starboard side here. We can look in the windows and see what's going on. Oh, it's tight. It's tight here. Dragging along the chains right down here. One of the windows is finally falling out of it. I was one of those fortunate kids that got to grow up along the Ohio River back in the middle 70s when Three Dog Night was a very popular group. We used to sit down the riverbank, go fishing quite often, and listen to the Top 40 radio on the station WLS in Chicago at night. Because I remember a fellow named John Records Landecker was playing all the top hits at the time. Anyway, as I grew older, picked up a motorboat in the 1980s, and I've been boating on the Ohio River for 40 plus years. And today I just want to take a break and go a different avenue because I knew I'd never get close to this wreck in that boat without tearing out drives off or something. So canoeing down the river here about 2 miles is just wonderful. We'll take a little break and eat a little snack, and we're going to come back and talk about Miss Claire a little bit more. Yeah. Well, she's in pretty rough shape. Well, look at what I found in the bushes over there. A kayak. I need to go over there and check it out, see if it's any good or not. Wow, that's pretty neat. Don't think there'll be any saving this kayak. Hole right through the bottom of it. Oh well, it was worth a shot. cool piece of trivia I'd like to tell you about. It happened back in the 1950s. My dad's brother, his name was Glenn, owned a boat. And there's an arch over here underneath the water line, which was visible then before the river was raised in the 1960s. If the water level was just right, Glenn would run his boat right through that arch to the other side. I thought that was kind of cool. It's all been covered up now, a long time ago. Almost back again. This shady little tunnel we had to walk through to get back over to where the truck is. Oh yeah. Well, since the water's up a little bit, we can actually paddle up on that little tunnel a little bit before I have to get out. That makes it a little bit nice. All secured and ready to go back home to put on the trailer rack. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next local adventure. Yeah.